I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna cry this time. I love the Raiders so much.
The Las Vegas Raiders have defeated the Denver Broncos, a walk-off touchdown. Technically, the Denver Broncos have never ever beaten the Las Vegas Raiders, but they have beaten the Oakland and the LA Raiders. Carr got emotional after the game. He was hoping for more walk-off touchdowns this year with Davante Adams, reminiscent of their time at Fresno State.
It's plays like that him and I dreamed of 9 years ago in college.
But that has not happened so far this year. The Raiders finally move on to 3-7, and it looks great. And the players love Josh McDaniels, and everything is positive and dandy, but they are still 3-7. We're going to talk about the great aspects of this game and also some of the problems we need to pay attention to for the rest of the season. We have just passed 35,000 subscribers. Make sure you click that subscribe button for more Raiders content. And really, the last play call to win the game was a thing of beauty. Shout out to Josh McDaniels, and I do not say that a lot. Actually, I think I may have never said that. But a great play design, confusing the linebacker, confusing these defensive backs, and Patrick Surtain looked absolutely lost right here. And this victory was so great for the Raiders that even Antonio Brown celebrated on social media, congratulating Derek Carr. He apparently bet $10,000 that Derek Carr would win today with the Las Vegas Raiders. This was an emotional game, not only because the Raiders won, but also because the referees did not call this helmet-to-helmet call, pissing off Davante Adams. And he got so heated at the referee that it drew a penalty.
Ref situation. I mean, I was clearly contacted in the head. So, I mean, that was stupid by me to even put this team in that position at that point. I just felt like there's been a lot of that going on lately. And, it gets frustrating.
But it's crazy how the referee just cannot see a helmet-to-helmet call when it's the Raiders. But shout out to Davante Adams for saying something, because if you stay quiet about it, then it's just going to keep happening again and again and again. Now, there's a lot of Derek Carr hate out there. There's a lot of jealousy of Derek Carr, envy of Derek Carr. A lot of people do not like the guy. They want CJ Stroud. They want some teenager, some young kid to try to run this football team like we're going to get to a Super Bowl next year with some young rookie quarterback. No. After this past week, they look terrible. And Derek Carr keeps winning games, and the Carr haters are really upset. Probably upset that the Raiders have even won this game, because it just makes it that much harder for the Raiders to have a top pick in the draft to potentially draft a quarterback, which seemed like an option. But things seem much more positive in the building between Derek Carr and Josh McDaniels. Derek Carr had 370 yards today, the highest of the season. Second highest was 303 against the Tennessee Titans in week 3. And he was only sacked once today. So overall, great game for the offense in the second half, mainly in the fourth quarter and mainly in the second quarter. First quarter was quiet, didn't score any points. Third quarter looked to be a disaster, and so did a little bit of the fourth. The Raiders were just not scoring points when they would get in the red zone, when they would get in Broncos territory. Penalties would push them out. Bad play calls would push them out. Too many screen passes. When you have a long ways to go, it doesn't work out. But in the late fourth quarter and in overtime is when the offense went off. Mainly those last two drives are absolutely incredible. And now Derek Carr is 8-2 in his career in overtime games, the best win percentage, over 800 of any QB with 10 plus overtime games. And that's higher than Botox Brady. Botox Tom Brady, higher than him. But you got to give him credit in this game, even if you're a Carr hater. Yes, he had that overthrow to Amir Abdullah. It was that long halfback wheel play, and he did overthrow it. He threw it a little out of bounds. But overall, he came in clutch in the end and got the dub and was able to celebrate in the tunnel with his teammates, and the whole team looked happy. And that was probably the best moment of the game, when it made you think, especially with all the rumors happening in the locker room, which Derek Carr and Davante Adams, to be quite frank, kind of started themselves. They were saying, hey, there's some guys who are not all in. Derek Carr got emotional at the press conference. He talked more about that after the game.
And it hit me heavy that day. It was 9 years of stuff built up, I guess. Finally hit me, I guess.
And some of us even thought, hey, is he indirectly talking about Josh McDaniels? Who knows? Are they sabotaging the season? You see Derek Carr's family online kind of critical of the coaching staff. But now all of that seems pushed in the past, and it was really cool to see the whole team come together and celebrate. Really feels like the team wanted this win. It wasn't just about guys trying to fluff their numbers to get a new contract next year. It really felt like the team was bought into whatever Josh McDaniels is selling. And quite frankly, because of all the losses so far, us fans have not really been bought in to what Josh McDaniels is selling at all. And especially Patrick Graham. The defense looked absolutely awful for the majority of the game. But if they continue to stack wins, they could prove to the fan base that they are buying all into this season. They're not trying to tank, not trying to get some new guys, not trying to rebuild or reload. And they really were trying to make it work this year, and it just didn't work out. We know the majority of the Raiders' losses have been one possession games. The Raiders have given up huge leads, and it has been so unprecedented and so ridiculous. Fans safely assumed, hey, are we tanking? Hey, are we not bought in this year? But as long as you continue to win, as long as you continue to ruin your draft pick, you are proving to the fan base that you're bought in on Josh McDaniels and Derek Carr and that connection, because I think the best shot that the Raiders have to win a Super Bowl next year in Las Vegas is if Josh McDaniels and Derek Carr are still employed by the Raiders. And because the Raiders have lost such close games, the offense has actually been putting up points, just not clutch in the end, just making bad coaching decisions in the end. But Davante Adams is the first player with 10 touchdown receptions this year. And Josh Jacobs, the run game has been unbelievable this year and has the most 150-yard games of any running back this season. By the way, going into this week, he had the #1 PFF grade of any running back in the NFL. Still had some problems. Carr had to make tons of throws under duress. Thayer Mumford had a little bit of a rough game at right tackle there. Mitchell Schwartz, the former Chiefs tackle, actually commented about this during the game. Kind of funny. I don't always trust a Chiefs guy, but I think here he was right. But Jermaine Illuminor did an amazing job stepping in at left tackle for the Raiders. Like I said earlier, Raiders only gave up 1 sack. But really, the offense stalled out. I thought there was a lot of ridiculous play calls on 3rd down, 3rd and long. You have a check down as your first read. Didn't make much sense. In the second half of the game, even going into the 4th quarter, at one point, Davante Adams only had 1 reception in the second half until they went off towards the end of the game. And then Carr and Mac Hollins still struggled to connect. Carr kind of getting angry at him, and it seemed like there was just a miscommunication. Looks like they weren't on the same page for a majority of the game. But hopefully the Raiders continue to have success. Now, is there any hope for this season? We did see some teams make the playoffs last year in the NFC with a 9-8 record. The Raiders made the playoffs last year in the AFC with a 10-7 record, so they could still lose one more game and potentially have a shot at the wild card. But they're playing the Seattle Seahawks, who've been tough so far, but I think they're demoralized coming off a huge loss against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then you have the Chargers. We'll see how they do tonight against the Chiefs. Rams, Matthew Stafford was banged up, did not finish the game. And then you have the Patriots, who haven't been too hot on the offensive side of the ball, and the Steelers, who aren't looking too good. Niners have their problems, but still are one of the top teams in the NFC West. And then you finish off against the Chiefs. So it's going to be a tough battle ahead. But you know what? Until the Raiders lose more than 8 games, I'm going all in, and I'm saying let's go Josh McDaniels and let's go Derek Carr. The players seem bought into Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels could have tanked that game in the end if he really wanted to, and he chose to call some play calls. It was mentioned before that the final play call that led to the Davante Adams touchdown was not an audible. The reporters actually asked Josh McDaniels about it, which I thought was kind of odd they would ask him about it, because you're basically implying that it had to be an audible because McDaniels is so tank friendly. But hey, McDaniels called the right plays and a great play design to help the Raiders win the game in the end. And like I said 2 weeks ago when I flirted with the idea that the Raiders are tanking, I said either they're tanking or this guy is just coaching horribly and making some terrible decisions and probably shouldn't even be the coach. But we get frustrated as fans, and when you really look at it, a lot of the games have been close, and maybe he's correcting some of those bad decisions he's made in the late 4th quarter. Keep in mind, man, this guy hasn't been a head coach in a long time. He's been a coordinator. He still has to learn how to be a head coach too, in my opinion. And if the Raiders can put together 9 wins, wow, that would be amazing. That would be a successful season at this point. And if they put together 6 wins, 7 wins, they could prove to the fans that they're not tanking here. They're trying their best. They just lost some close games, a new team earlier in the season, and really they had high expectations for this year, just didn't go the right way. But if they just give us this little Denver Broncos game as a little celebration for us fans so we can have fun and get drunk, and then they go on to shit the bed and they only win 4 games, maybe 5, bro, in my opinion, I think that tank rumor stuff is gonna come back, especially if it comes down to some horrible decision making late in the game. But you know what? I'm gonna say let's go McDaniels. Let's learn to win. Yay McDaniels, as long as he puts together some wins. And I really do think, looking at a lot of these teams, they could pull this off. Either way, let me know your record prediction for the Raiders this year at this moment. Like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe to this channel for more Raiders content. My name is WiFiWillie. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.